Chapter 2. Preparation and Persuasion. Before deploying BPM in the organization, we need to prepare the staff and senior managers to use BPM technique. We will discuss persuasion and positioning techniques for BPM deployment in the following. After that, the relationship between BPM and strategy, organizational structure, ISO and other quality management techniques will be expressed. So we can understand BPM position in the organization to produce convergent and integrated relation between different techniques and help the organization on the way of excellence. In addition, we will try to create a common language to continue the path, to have the same meaning for the words such as task, process and process management by readers. At the end of the session, 5 world-known methodologies for deploying BPM will be introduced. In this way, readers will be familiar with deployment path relatively and also be able to plan the deployment. What should be done before establishing process management in the organization? The first step in implementing any management technique is to make the organization companion with the project and benefit from the superior management support. In any organization, the orientation of the managers and employees depend on the attitude and belief of the senior management. If the senior management of the organization agrees with the implementation of business process management and believes that applying this technique would provide good results for the organization, other managers and employees will accept the implementation. Therefore, the resistance will reduce and the implementation of changes in the organization will be done faster and consequently the cost of the changes will also decrease. Senior management support is essential to the success of any project in the organization, but it alone is not enough for successful execution. Employees of the organization are the executive arms and the performer of activities. After defining each work in the organization, the senior manager deals with his main tasks. For example, planning, organizing, preparing resources and facilities, guiding and leading, etc. He also defines the employees' tasks by dividing the work. Now, employees will be the success factor of the organization if they perform the assigned tasks correctly. Therefore, the support of senior management and the readiness of employees to perform specified activities in the most basic condition for success. So these factors should be got before any operation. 10 golden principles to gain the support of senior management of the organization. To gain the support of senior manager, you should convince him that implementing a business process management project has excellent benefits for the organization. First, you need to know some of the principles of persuasion and then learn the specialized concepts required to present to the senior manager. Persuasion takes time and does not happen quickly. To achieve this goal, first principles and rules have to be established. It means the type of communication must be planned, the purpose of the communication must be determined, required tools must be identified, the feelings and motivations of the audience must be understood, and so on. There are different methods of persuasion. In this book, we outline 10 golden principles of persuasion. By using these 10 golden principles, you will surely be able to convince the senior manager of your organization. 1. Know the audience. Identify a history of interesting topics, goals, tastes, aspirations, etc. of audience and seek shared experiences. Identify their strengths and weaknesses and create a common language and literature. 2. Always look for opportunities. Look for talking about BPM at any time and anywhere in the organization instead of surrounding events. Attribute good organization events to BPM and attribute bad organization events to the lack of BPM. Number 3. Take care about the first encounter and the angle of your entry. It is very important the first time you raise the issue because many views are formed at the same time. Be careful that where you start and what you say. Visualize the subject for him, express the opinions of well-known people about BPM, meet him expectations and give him a process perspective. Number 4. Make a differentiation. Talk about BPM capabilities as a different tool and technique. For example, talk about BPM ability to create integration, to allow performance measurement and to develop continuous improvement in the organization by using organizational examples. Number 5. Golden Bridge Law. It should be noted that the senior manager is not interested in accepting high risk and achieving long-term results. Most managers, due to their management period, are looking for short-term results, so it would be more impressive to talk about the short-term results of BPM. By correct prioritizing and selecting the process, you can show visible results of BPM implementation throughout the organization within a maximum of 2 months. Do not forget encouragement and appreciation. People always want to be admired and approved, so appreciate the manager and his activities and thank him for his actions. All of us always like kindness. Number 7. Get feedback during conversations. As you speak, pay attention to the manager's facial expressions, his hand and body movements, his responses and speech, and understand his concerns. According to these feedbacks, do the appreciate reaction and be completely with him. Do not allow occurring tension and incompatibility at all and retreat if necessary. 8. Give examples of well-known brands. Use the Carriot effect. Everyone likes to be among the best. So, talk about the world-famous companies such as Adidas and their amazing results as the cases have established BPM. Influence thoughts by represent BPM as a powerful technique. Number 9. Use statistics. Consider one of the basic problems of the organization. What negative effect does this problem have on the financial performance of the organization? What results will you predict to achieve by establishing and improving BPM? Try to express all these points, numerical and quantitative. And number 10. Seek verbal impact. When listening to the opinion of the manager and making decision, raise the next issue. Do this in such a way that first and main topic is hidden and seem to be approved. Constantly pay attention to what is attractive and motivating to the boss during the negotiation. 5 stages of positioning that must be done before convincing. Before convincing, you should know what the senior manager thinks about you. Does he consider you as an expert on the technique, and does he have enough confidence in you? So before you try to persuade, you need to introduce yourself as an influential, productive, knowledgeable and compassionate person in the organization. According to the principles of negotiation and persuasion, you need to prepare the ground before any action. You can negotiate about establishing business process management only if senior manager thinks you are acceptable enough to comment about you. So you need to make a good position for yourself. Here are 5 basic steps you can take to begin the process of positioning preparation. Number 1. Recognize the senior manager indicators. First step is to identify the wants, expectations and needs of the organization's senior manager. We should know what he needs and what he expects from us. Then we try to meet those needs. The needs and expectations of the manager are like the line by which our performance and productivity are measured. If we could meet the expectations of the manager better, he thinks we are more productive employees. But if we do not recognize these rule indicators properly, despite many efforts, we may not be able to meet the expectations of the manager, and as a result, we may not be able to position ourselves with the manager. Note that you should report your performance, results and achievements of your activities to senior management on a weekly or maximum monthly basis. Number 2. Reliable and trusting. Always be honest in your behavior, actions, reporting and all your works. Let your words and needs be the same. Act based on the values of the organization and believes in these values. Focus on the goals and vision of the organization. Consider whether each of your activities in the organization is in line with the goals and vision of the organization or not. Set individual goals in line with organizational goals and move toward achieving them during all working hours. Do the right thing regardless of personal risks. Number 3. Create identity. You should be known as a person who is active in the field of business process management, has relatively good knowledge in this field and has sufficient skills to perform activities related to the subject. You need to do your work in a more specialized way. This identity will be your root entity in the organization, in the way that wherever there is talk of process and improvement in the organization, your name comes to the people's mind. Number 4, make a differentiation. Produce relevant content and make it distinct by using methods of releasing information throughout the organization. For example, improve the business environment and conditions using BPM suggestions. Publish practical content and express BPM achievements in the context of the organizational knowledge management or the organization newsletter. Be a leader in this field and act faster than the others. Distinguish between yourself and others by using your knowledge and skills, as well as producing content and publishing it over specific time periods. Number 5, stability. Be consistent in following all the steps mentioned. You need to do these steps several times and continue this process to achieve the desired results. Only by being consistent in repeating the right steps, you can have lasting impact on the senior manager. Have a continuous participation in the various affairs of the organization and present great ideas with the help of BPM solutions. Are new age organizations looking to establish business process management? In the 21st century, organizations have taken a new direction. Most organizations are moving towards process approaches. In fact, we are seeing 4 fundamental changes in these organizations. 1. They are organized around process instead of tasks. Number 2. Managers are coaching and designing instead of supervising and monitoring. Number 3. Employees become process-oriented instead of just being workers. Number 4. 21st century organizations are characterized by responsibility, risk-taking, and instability. Which information about BPM do we need to negotiate and persuade? Continue the process of convincing managers. We need to know the answers to any questions they may have. The manager's 2 basic questions are: what activities should he and the organization do? The main activities and actions in business process management are: determine executive roles, create the teams and determine the required people, determine cost of work and invest rate of return, explain reasons of process management efficiency, develop business process management executive steps and deployment plan, identify influential reference process resources and controls, determine how to monitor and measure the process, sequence selection, priority and latency of different processes and interaction between processes, prioritize processes, define the approximate rate of process improvement. Number 2, what are process nature and characteristics? What is called a process? The features of a process are as follows: has a unique name or ID, follows a specific goal, the set of steps or operations is specified and defined, the sequence of its operation is precisely determined, the start and end points of any steps of process are specified, the performers or responsibles of each process steps are identified, input and output data are determined, the initial and final conditions are specified.